is a tool. When that light hits the sky.
There are a ton of DC movies on the way in 2025 and beyond, with DC Studios working on all kinds of projects, some already rolling, others still in the works. So let's not waste any time and dive into all the upcoming DC projects you should be keeping an eye on. Superman. James Gunn's Superman, formerly Superman Legacy, is almost here, hitting theaters soon, and there's a lot of buzz around it. While DC is keeping the plot pretty secret, the recent trailers and behind-the-scenes teases have revealed enough to get fans excited. Gunn first confirmed he was directing it back in 2023, and now, with just a little time left before release, it's clear this movie is more than just another reboot. It's the first official chapter of the brand new DC Universe, replacing the old DCEU. Coming out just before Marvel's Fantastic Four, this film is meant to set the tone for everything that follows in the DCU. Sure, Superman stories haven't always been easy to nail, but if Gunn's past work, like Guardians of the Galaxy, is anything to go by, we're in for a heartfelt and heroic ride. And from what we've seen in the trailers, it looks like he's delivering just that. James Gunn made it pretty clear last year on Threads. The lead in Superman is, well, Superman, played by David Corenswet, and the big bad is Lex Luthor, played by Nicholas Hoult. Classic setup, right? But from the trailers, it looks like the movie's aiming for a much bigger story than just their usual rivalry. A bunch of other heroes and villains are set to appear, joining Superman as he tries to show a skeptical world what real justice and kindness look like. This isn't another origin story skipping the whole Krypton and Kansas flashbacks. Instead, Clark Kent's already in Metropolis, working at the Daily Planet, while Superman deals with a society that's pretty over the whole superhero thing. In the official trailer, we see a frustrated Superman tell Lois Lane, "I stopped a war," a moment that really shows how different this version of the character is. Gunn's take on Superman clearly isn't some distant, flawless figure. This guy bleeds, struggles, and feels the weight of every choice he makes. From what we've seen so far, Gunn is steering away from the darker, brooding DCEU version and instead bringing Superman back to his classic, hopeful roots. Think more Christopher Reeve and less grim savior. He's not a killer or a weapon. He's someone who truly wants to help and protect, even if that makes the world uncomfortable. The Baravia scene, where Superman intervenes to stop a war and ends up being seen as a loose cannon, nails that theme perfectly. He's trying to save lives, but the world sees him as someone playing God, and that tension looks like it'll be a big part of the movie. The tagline says it all: look up. It's a simple reminder that hope still exists, and in Gunn's vision, that hope is Superman. This version of the character isn't bulletproof in every way, but he's fearless when it comes to standing up for what's right, even in a world that doesn't exactly welcome idealism. He's not just fighting villains, he's fighting cynicism. And speaking of villains, one of the biggest threats he faces in the film is the Hammer of Baravia, a new character created just for this movie. Decked out in heavy armor and armed with laser vision, this guy shows up after Superman's attempt to stop a war in Baravia, blaming him for meddling in international politics. According to a Daily Planet article written by Clark Kent, the Hammer's attack on Metropolis injured 22 people. So yeah, things are getting intense. Looks like Gunn's Superman is gonna have to fight for hope, both literally and figuratively. Besides taking on the Hammer of Baravia, Superman's got his hands full in this film. He'll also be facing off against the Engineer, played by Maria Gabriela de Faria, and a huge fire-breathing kaiju that James Gunn says was inspired by Godzilla -1. And it's not just villains. Several other super-powered characters are jumping in too. We've got the Justice Gang showing up, including Isabella Merced as Hawkgirl, Eddie Cathegi as Mr. Terrific, Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, and Anthony Kerrigan as Metamorpho. On the civilian side, we'll see Sarah Sampaio as Eve Teschmacher, Skylar Gazondo as Jimmy Olsen, Wendell Pierce as Perry White, and Clark's adoptive parents, played by Pruitt Taylor Vince and Neva Howell. Gunn's brother Sean Gunn joins as Maxwell Lord, and making her debut as Supergirl is House of the Dragon's Millie Alcock. Definitely a stacked cast with some exciting surprises lined up. One of the most exciting characters fans can't wait to see isn't even human. It's Krypto, Superman's superpowered dog. Based on James Gunn's own pup, Oju, Krypto is a scruffy, energetic companion who makes his debut in a sneak peek that also reveals the iconic Fortress of Solitude. In it, we see cold, robotic caretakers tending to Superman's recovery, hinting at some serious battles ahead. Gunn wrote the script himself, though he originally didn't plan to direct, and drew inspiration from classic comics like Superman for All Seasons by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, and All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely. The movie clocks in at 2 hours and 9 minutes, which is impressive given the huge cast and character lineup Gunn's working with. Superman lands in theaters and IMAX on July 11th, so the countdown is officially on. Peacemaker Season 2. Peacemaker Season 2 is officially on the way, and it's set a couple of years after the events of Season 1. With the DCEU now done and dusted, James Gunn and Peter Safran's new DCU is rolling in, but not everything from the old timeline is getting tossed. One thing sticking around for sure is Gunn's hit Max series, Peacemaker. While Gunn hasn't locked in a specific year for the new season, he told Entertainment Weekly that there's a reason for that. World building takes time, and after his experience at Marvel, he knows how tough it is to make every piece fit perfectly. So, the time jump is intentionally vague, giving the DCU room to grow and shift as needed. Season 2 of Peacemaker is coming in hot, and will pick up a couple of years after all the chaos of Season 1. There's no official synopsis yet, but the trailer already hints at a ton of action and drama. James Gunn has clarified that while Season 1 isn't officially canon in the new DCU, Season 2 definitely is. That said, he's not scrapping everything. Some key parts of Christopher Smith's story from the Suicide Squad and the first season will still carry over. Gunn promised the transition will make sense within the show. Interestingly, he also confirmed that the events of his upcoming Superman movie will tie into Peacemaker Season 2, and while Waller was originally supposed to come between seasons, it'll now take place after Season 2 airs. Oh, and we're getting a brand new opening credit sequence. No pressure, but the bar's pretty high after the first one. James Gunn is once again the creative force behind Season 2, having written every episode just like he did for Season 1. But this time around, he won't be directing them all. He's only handling a few episodes due to his packed schedule with the DCU. Gunn is also busy directing the new Superman movie, which he wrote and will be shooting at the same time as Peacemaker Season 2 this summer. Even with everything on his plate, that Season 2 is still a big priority for him. Team Peacemaker is officially reuniting for Season 2, with John Cena back as the lead and most of the original cast expected to return, including Jennifer Holland, Steve Agee, Danielle Brooks, Freddie Stroma, Newt Lee, and Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. Frank Grillo is joining the mix as Rick Flag Sr., a role he'll also voice in Creature Commandos, while Michael Rooker is playing a new character named Red St. Wild, who will be Eagly's nemesis. Yes, seriously. Speaking of which, don't worry, Eagly is definitely coming back. There's still mystery around whether Robert Patrick's Augie Smith will continue haunting Peacemaker, and with canon shifts happening, it's possible we'll even see the return of some characters who didn't survive Season 1. And mark your calendars, Peacemaker Season 2 drops August 21st. Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. Woman of Tomorrow was officially announced in January 2023 along with other major titles like Superman Legacy, Batman the Brave and the Bold, and Swamp Thing. Directed by Craig Gillespie, Supergirl is set to hit theaters on July 26, 2026. Unlike Superman, who grew up on Earth, this version of Supergirl was raised on Krypton and endured 14 years of trauma before arriving here, making her a much tougher, grittier character. Gunn says this take will be very different from what fans have seen before. Millie Alcock, known for her role in House of the Dragon, was cast as Kara Zor-El in early 2024. The film is based on the 2022 comic series by Tom King and Bilquis Evely. The screenplay was written by Ana Nogueira, who adapted King's modern take on Supergirl for the big screen. Gunn's rundown of the movie went like this. We see the difference between Superman, who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents from the time he was an infant, versus Supergirl, who was raised on a rock, a chip off Krypton, and watched everyone around her die and be killed in terrible ways for the first 14 years of her life, and then came to Earth when she was a young girl. She's much more hardcore. She's not exactly the Supergirl we're used to seeing. Jason Momoa is officially playing Lobo in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, a role he's reportedly been eyeing for a long time. While Lobo isn't in the original comic the movie's based on, it's clear the DCU has bigger plans for him, especially with a star like Momoa attached. His casting pretty much confirms he's done playing Aquaman, leaving that version of the character behind with the now defunct DCEU. How Lobo fits into Supergirl's story is still under wraps, but expect this to be more than just a one-off appearance. Lanterns. When it comes to bringing the Green Lanterns into the DCU, James Gunn's upcoming Superman movie is where things kick off, with Nathan Fillion playing Guy Gardner. Over on HBO, the Lantern series will finally give us the live-action versions of Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart that fans have been waiting for. By the time this new Superman movie takes place, the DC universe is already buzzing with aliens, monsters, and all sorts of wild stuff. A lot of that world building was already set up in the Creature Commandos animated series, which really got the ball rolling. If you want to get in the zone before this new DC era takes off, now's a great time to dive into Superman Unlimited comics or revisit some of the all-time best DC video games, both old school and newer ones. And yeah, you can totally skip the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie. No one's blaming you. So, when can you catch Lanterns? The series is currently filming and expected to head into post-production later this year. There's no official release date just yet, but the word is that it might land on Max sometime in early 2026, though that could shift, so keep an eye out for updates. So, who exactly are the Green Lanterns? In short, they're part of a galaxy-wide peacekeeping squad known as the Green Lantern Corps. These heroes are chosen to wield powerful rings that let them turn pure willpower into glowing green energy. Think force fields, giant fists, weapons, whatever their imagination can pull off. The first ever Green Lantern was Alan Scott, created back in the 1940s. He had a magic-based ring and a pretty different vibe, but the version most people know today comes from the 1959 reboot, where Hal Jordan, a fearless test pilot, was introduced. That's when the story leaned into sci-fi and established the Corps as space cops answering to ancient beings called the Guardians of the Universe, who operate from the planet Oa. Hal Jordan is usually considered the most iconic Earth-based Lantern, but he's not alone. Jon Stewart, an architect and Marine vet, and Guy Gardner, a brash and bold fighter, are also major players in Earth's sector, Sector 2814 for the nerds out there. Each lantern has a ring powered by a central battery on Oa, and they can fly, survive in space, and rock a high-tech green suit while battling evil across the cosmos. Over the decades, and across multiple DC reboots, the Green Lantern Corps has remained a cornerstone of the DC universe. The plot of Lanterns is still mostly under wraps, but here's what's been teased so far. The show is shaping up to be a grounded murder mystery set mainly in Nebraska. Hal Jordan is now a veteran Green Lantern nearing retirement, and he's mentoring Jon Stewart, a U.S. Marine with a strong moral compass and no-nonsense attitude, as his potential replacement. The series is being described as a prestige pulp detective show, meaning it's got that gritty investigative vibe, but set against the backdrop of the vast cosmic mythology of the Green Lantern Corps. As the story unfolds, Hal and Jon will uncover deeper and darker mysteries that could have major implications across the DC universe. The series will span 8 episodes and is expected to play a key role in the new DCU's first chapter, Gods and Monsters. And since we know Guy Gardner, another Lantern, is popping up in James Gunn's Superman movie, there's a good chance Lanterns will tie into the bigger picture of this freshly rebooted DC timeline. Lanterns features a standout cast, with Kyle Chandler taking on the role of Hal Jordan, a seasoned Green Lantern nearing retirement. He's joined by Aaron Pierre, who plays Jon Stewart, a former Marine stepping into the Lantern Corps. Kelly MacDonald plays Carrie, a small-town sheriff with a key role in the unfolding mystery. The supporting cast includes Garrett Dillahunt as William Macon, a modern cowboy-type character, and Poorna Jagannathan as the cunning and strategic Zoe. Ulrich Thompson steps in as Sinestro, a once heroic lantern who went rogue and previously mentored Hal. Nicole Ari Parker portrays Bernadette, Jon Stewart's mother, while Jasmine Cephas Jones plays her younger version. Jason Ritter plays Billy Macon, Carrie's husband and William's son. Sherman Augustus appears as Jon Stewart Sr., with J. Alphonse Nicholson portraying his younger self. Rounding out the core team is Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, another Green Lantern who's also set to appear in James Gunn's Superman film. The cast hints at a deep, character-driven story set within a larger cosmic saga. Lanterns brings together an impressive creative team, blending talent from both TV drama and DC Comics. The show was created by Chris Mundy, comic book writer Tom King, and Damon Lindelof. All three are serving as executive producers, along with DC Studios co-heads James Gunn and Peter Safran, who are also behind Creature Commandos and Superman. The Batman Part 2. The Batman Part 2 is the much-anticipated sequel to Matt Reeves' 2022 film The Batman, picking up right where the first movie left off. It takes place in the same universe as HBO Max's The Penguin series, and fans can expect the return of the Riddler, plus a new version of the Joker. Reeves originally planned his take on Batman as the start of a standalone trilogy, so a sequel was always in the cards. The Batman Part 2 was initially scheduled for October 2, 2026, but has since been pushed back to October 1, 2027. This film is part of DC's Elseworlds line, meaning it sits outside the main DCU continuity and will continue the darker, more grounded story established in the first film and expanded in The Penguin, which debuted in September 2024. Robert Pattinson is set to return as Bruce Wayne Batman in The Batman Part 2, though plot details are still mostly under wraps. There's a lot of speculation that the film could draw from DC's No Man's Land storyline, where Gotham becomes a war zone after a massive earthquake. What is confirmed is that director Matt Reeves wants to take the story even deeper into Gotham's corruption, something he's been developing since the first movie. Reeves has said the new film will explore parts of Bruce Wayne's character that we haven't seen before, diving into a battle against forces that are too deeply rooted to fully defeat. The sequel is expected to pick up on threads planted in The Batman and further expanded in The Penguin, especially since Colin Farrell is confirmed to return as Oz Cobb. Well, that's a wrap for today. Let me know in the comments which DC project you're most excited about. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because we've got more updates coming your way on this and a bunch of other awesome upcoming movies and shows. We'll catch you next time.